There is a truth so profound that when fully grasped, it transforms every aspect of life. This truth is not found in distant places or bound by time. It is within you, waiting to be discovered. The knowledge of Jesus Christ is not merely the recounting of historical events or the acceptance of religious doctrines. It is the realization of a divine principle operating in your own life, the awakening of the Christ within. Many search for salvation outside of themselves, hoping to find it in rituals, institutions, or the approval of others. But the true knowledge of Christ is the unveiling of your own creative power, the understanding that your consciousness shapes reality, that your faith determines what you experience, and that you are far greater than you have been led to believe. To know Christ is to awaken from the illusion of separation and reclaim your birthright as a co-creator with God. It is to recognize that you and the Father are one, that the same power that was in him is also in you. The greatest revelation ever given to man is that the kingdom of God is not found in temples built by human hands, nor in distant lands, nor in the words of others who claim to hold the key to salvation. It is within you. It has always been within you. From the moment you drew breath, from the moment consciousness took form, the kingdom has existed, not as a place to be reached, but as a state to be realized. Yet from the time we are born, we are conditioned to seek outside of ourselves. We are taught that truth is something external, that salvation is something to be achieved, that heaven is a reward given to those who follow the right path. But this is the great misunderstanding of the ages. The knowledge of Jesus Christ is not about following a set of rules, nor is it about waiting for a distant paradise. It is about understanding that the kingdom is here now and that it exists within the very depths of your being. Look around at the world. Every man, every woman, every situation is nothing more than a reflection of the consciousness that beholds it. People live their lives believing themselves to be at the mercy of external forces, of fate, of circumstances, of the actions of others. But what if they knew the truth? What if they understood that their entire world is shaped by what is within them? That every event, every joy, every sorrow is simply the outpicturing of the kingdom they hold inside? To awaken to this truth is to understand the true nature of Jesus Christ. His life was not merely a historical account to be admired, but a blueprint for all mankind. His words were not commands for blind obedience, but invitations to awaken to the power that already resides in you. When he said, "The kingdom of God is within you," he was revealing that everything you seek, peace, abundance, healing, wisdom, is already yours. It is not something to be earned nor something to be given, but something to be realized. Consider a man who believes himself to be poor. His entire life he struggles, striving, laboring under the assumption that he lacks. He prays for abundance, yet deep in his heart he still believes in his poverty. He looks outside himself, hoping that money, opportunity, or luck will come to change his life. But he does not see that the answer was never in the world, it was in him. The moment he shifts his consciousness, the moment he begins to believe in his own wealth, in his own sufficiency, the world around him changes. Opportunities arise where none seem to exist. Doors open that were once closed. But the truth is, the opportunities were always there. He simply could not see them while he believed in lack. This is the meaning of the kingdom within. It is not about waiting for circumstances to align, but about recognizing that they are only reflections of your inner state. When a man knows himself to be blessed, he walks in confidence, and the world mirrors that confidence. When a man believes in love, love surrounds him. When a man embodies peace, peace follows him wherever he goes. But if one does not understand this, he will continue searching outside himself. He will continue believing that his happiness, his success, his fulfillment depend on forces beyond his control. He will seek guidance from others, hoping they will tell him what to do, when all along the answer has been within him. It is written, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." But where do you seek? Not in books, not in doctrines, not in the opinions of men. You seek within. You turn inward and realize that everything you desire, everything you long for, already exists in the depths of your being. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. From the beginning of time, man has searched for salvation. Salvation from suffering, from limitation, from fear, from the chains of his own mind. He has looked to others for deliverance, hoping that some external power, some divine intervention will lift him out of his troubles. But the truth so often overlooked is that the key to salvation has always been within him. It is his own imagination. Imagination is not mere fantasy, nor is it a child's plaything to be discarded with age. It is the very creative force by which all things are made. Every great work, every discovery, every advancement in human history was first imagined before it was seen. The knowledge of Jesus Christ is not merely the acceptance of his story, but the realization of the principle he demonstrates, that as a man believes in his heart, so shall he become. What you accept in your imagination as true will manifest in your life. Consider the way the world operates. Every man and woman moves according to what they believe to be possible. The limits of their imagination set the boundaries of their experience. Some see themselves as weak, and so weakness follows them. Others imagine themselves victorious, and the world bends to their inner conviction. The one who knows this truth is free, for he understands that his circumstances do not determine his fate. His imagination does. Look at your life, at the events that have unfolded before you. Were they not first conceived in your own mind? The fears you held, the hopes you cherished, the expectations you carried, all have shaped your reality, whether you realized it or not. The man who constantly dwells on failure, on sickness, on struggle, unknowingly invites those very conditions into his life. He may pray for relief, but if his imagination is filled with doubt and despair, his prayers are in vain. And yet the opposite is also true. The one who dares to imagine differently, who holds in his mind the vision of his highest self, will see that vision take form. This is not a matter of blind optimism, but of divine law. It was said, according to your faith, be it unto you. But what is faith if not the ability to see what is unseen, to imagine what has not yet taken shape? To know Christ is to understand this power. His miracles were not acts of magic, but demonstrations of the limitless nature of imagination. When he healed the sick, he did not see them as broken, but as whole. When he calmed the storm, he did not acknowledge the chaos, but the peace beyond it. He looked upon lack and saw abundance, upon death and saw life, and so what he imagined became real. The same power exists in you, but so few recognize it. They look upon their current conditions and believe them to be fixed, never realizing that their conditions are but shadows of past imagination. They say, this is who I am, this is my fate, but they do not ask themselves, who have I imagined myself to be? What have I accepted as true? A man who understands this will guard his imagination more than he guards his wealth, for he knows that it is the source of all he possesses and all he will ever be. If he wishes to be free, he will first imagine himself free. If he wishes to be loved, he will first imagine himself beloved. He will not wait for proof from the outside world, for he knows that the world is but a mirror, reflecting back to him what he holds within. There is no power greater than this. No force in heaven or on earth can prevent a man from receiving what he has fully imagined and accepted as true. But to use this power wisely requires discipline. It is easy to let the mind wander, to allow fear, doubt, and limitation to creep in. But just as a gardener tends his field, removing the weeds and nurturing the seeds of what he desires, so must a man tend to his imagination. Every moment of every day, you are imagining something. You may be doing it unconsciously, allowing the world to dictate your thoughts, reacting to what you see instead of shaping what you wish to see. But the one who understands will take control. He will close his eyes to the distractions of the senses and look inward, seeing only what he wishes to experience, feeling as though it were already true. And in time, the world will conform to his vision. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the force that transforms thought into reality. It is not mere belief in an idea, nor is it wishful thinking. It is the conviction that what is imagined is already real, even when the senses provide no evidence. Faith is the law by which the invisible becomes visible, the unseen becomes manifest, and the impossible becomes possible. Most people live by sight, reacting to what their senses tell them, believing only in what they can touch, see, and measure. They allow the outer world to dictate their inner state, and so they become prisoners of circumstance. When things go well, they feel strong. When trials arise, they feel weak. They are like ships tossed by the wind, moving wherever the waves take them. But the one who understands faith knows that reality is not shaped by external forces. It is shaped from within. Faith is not blind. It does not ignore reality. It creates it. It does not deny the existence of hardship, but it refuses to accept hardship as the final truth. A man of faith does not wait for circumstances to change before he believes. He believes, and then the circumstances change. His faith does not waver because it is not dependent on the world's approval. He understands that the world is a reflection of his inner convictions, and so he walks with certainty, knowing that as he believes, so shall he receive. The man of little faith looks at his situation and says, I will believe when I see the evidence. But the man who understands says, I will see the evidence when I believe. This is the fundamental difference between those who remain bound by their conditions and those who rise above them. One waits for proof while the other creates it. One hopes while the other knows. One wishes while the other commands. To live by faith is to see beyond appearances. It is to look upon lack and know abundance, to face sickness and know health, to stand in the storm and know peace. It is the unwavering trust that what is unseen is more real than what is seen, that what is held in the mind will take form in the world. This is not an abstract concept. It is the foundation upon which all things are built. Look at the life of Jesus. Every miracle he performed, every act of healing, every transformation he brought forth was rooted in faith. He did not see the leper as diseased. He saw him whole. He did not see the blind as helpless. He saw them as capable of sight. And because he saw them that way, because he held that vision without doubt, they became as he saw them. This was not magic, nor was it an exception to the natural order. It was the highest understanding of divine law. Yet, even when shown this truth, many refuse to believe. They look at their lives and see only struggle, limitation, and defeat. They pray for deliverance, but in their hearts they still accept failure as inevitable. They ask for abundance, but deep within they continue to identify with lack, and so their prayers go unanswered, not because they are unworthy, but because their faith is divided. A mind that wavers between belief and doubt receives nothing, for faith requires absolute conviction. Faith is not passive, it is not waiting and hoping, it is an active force that shapes reality. The man who understands this does not allow his thoughts to drift aimlessly. He does not let fear dictate his actions. He disciplines his mind, holding steadfast to the vision of what he desires, refusing to entertain anything that contradicts it. He does not concern himself with how things will unfold, for he knows that faith is the only cause, and the world must conform to it. A man's life is the sum total of his faith. If he believes in failure, failure will follow him. If he believes in struggle, struggle will greet him at every turn. But if he believes in victory, if he holds to the conviction that all things are working in his favor, the world will reshape itself to match his belief. It is not a question of whether faith works. It always works. The only question is what one has placed their faith in. Everything in life is an expression of faith. The man who rises in the morning and expects difficulty will find difficulty. The one who rises expecting joy will find joy. The one who sees himself as powerless will live a powerless life, while the one who knows himself as strong will see strength reflected in every circumstance. Faith is not about effort, it is about identity. A man does not receive what he merely desires, he receives what he believes himself to be. And so the question is not whether you have faith, you do. The question is, what is your faith creating? What reality are you building with your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations? The world you see today is nothing more than the outpicturing of the faith you have held in the past. If you wish to change it, you must change the foundation upon which it stands. The story of Jesus Christ is not just the story of one man, it is the story of all mankind. His life, his death, and his resurrection are not historical events to be observed from a distance, but symbols of a deeper truth that applies to every individual. The Christ that was crucified and buried is the same Christ that sleeps within you, waiting to be awakened. The resurrection is not something that happened once in the past. It is something that must happen within you now. For too long, humanity has been conditioned to look outside itself for salvation. It has been taught that Christ is separate, that he is above, that he is to be worshipped as an external deity. But the great truth, the truth that has been hidden in plain sight, is that Christ is not separate from you. The power that he demonstrated, the wisdom that he embodied, the divine authority that he exercised, all of it exists within you, waiting to be realized. To resurrect the Christ within is to awaken from the illusion of limitation. It is to recognize that the same Spirit that raised him from the dead dwells in you. It is to cast aside the false identity you have accepted, the identity of weakness, fear, and struggle, and to step into the awareness of who you truly are. But before resurrection, there must be crucifixion. This is the part that many resist, for no one desires suffering. Yet the crucifixion is not about physical pain. It is the death of the false self. It is the surrender of every belief that has kept you bound. It is the recognition that you are not the body, not the mind, not the collection of labels and experiences you have accumulated over the years. The old self must die so that the true self may rise. What is this false self? It is the voice that tells you that you are not enough. It is the belief that you are powerless, that you are subject to fate, that you are at the mercy of the world. It is the identity you have built based on fear, doubt, and limitation. And just as Jesus surrendered himself to the cross, you must surrender this false identity, allowing it to be put to death so that the Christ within you may be resurrected. But how does one do this? How does one move beyond the old self and step into the divine truth? The answer is not found in effort, but in realization. The moment you stop identifying with the illusion of separation and accept the truth that you and the Father are one, the resurrection begins. The stone is rolled away, the tomb is emptied, and the Christ within you begins to shine forth. You do not need to earn this resurrection. It is not something you must strive for. It is already within you, waiting only for recognition. The moment you accept that you are the expression of the divine, that the same power that walked on water, healed the sick, and calmed the storm is your power, the transformation begins. But be warned, when you begin to walk in this truth, the world will resist. Just as Jesus was rejected, so too will you face opposition. The world will tell you that you are foolish, that you are mistaken, that you are nothing more than flesh and blood. But if you hold firm, if you refuse to be swayed by the voices of doubt, you will see the power of resurrection unfold in your life. The Christ within you is not limited by circumstance. He is not bound by the laws of the world. He does not accept defeat, nor does he bow before fear. To resurrect him within yourself is to take on his mind, his vision, his authority. It is to live as he lived, not as one who is weak and uncertain, but as one who knows the truth of his being. This is why Jesus said, "The works that I do, you shall do also, and greater works than these shall you do." He was not speaking to a select few. He was speaking to all who would awaken to their true nature. He was not telling you to worship him. He was showing you what you are capable of when you recognize the Christ within. To resurrect the Christ within is to see beyond appearances. It is to know that no situation, no hardship, no obstacle has the power to defeat you. It is to understand that you are not a victim of life. You are the creator of it. Just as Jesus commanded the storm to be still, you have the authority to command the storms in your own life. Just as he multiplied the loaves and fishes, you have the power to bring forth abundance from within. Just as he spoke healing into existence, you have the ability to restore and renew all things in your life. But none of this is possible so long as you remain asleep to your true identity. So long as you believe yourself to be separate from Christ, you will continue to live as though you are powerless. The moment you awaken, the moment you truly accept that the resurrection is not an event of the past, but an unfolding reality within you, everything changes. To resurrect the Christ within is not to become something new. It is to remember who you have always been. It is to rise from the slumber of limitation and step into the fullness of your divine nature. It is the greatest realization a man can have, for in it he finds freedom, peace, and the power to shape his world. To live as though it is already done is to embody the highest principle of faith, the divine law that transforms the unseen into the seen, the imagined into the real. It is the secret hidden in plain sight, the truth that few dare to believe, yet it is the foundation upon which all things are made. The world does not shape you, you shape the world. And the moment you begin to live in the conviction that your desires are already fulfilled, reality must conform to that assumption. Most people live by reaction, bound by what their senses tell them. They look at the world and assume that it holds the power. They see lack and believe in lack. They see struggle and expect more struggle. They beg, they plead, they wait for something outside themselves to change before they will allow themselves to feel whole, successful, or at peace. But this is the great error, for creation does not work from the outside in. It works from the inside out. To live as though it is already done is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to embody the state of being that matches your desire long before the physical evidence appears. It is not enough to hope. It is not enough to wish. You must walk, speak, think, and feel as though what you seek is already yours. You must dwell in that state so completely that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. The law is simple. Whatever you accept as true within, the outer world must reflect. If you desire wealth but continue to see yourself as lacking, you will remain in lack. If you desire health but continue to identify with illness, you will remain unwell. If you desire love but carry the assumption of loneliness, you will push love away. It is not enough to want something, you must become it. Look at the great figures of history, the ones who achieved what seemed impossible. They did not wait for permission, nor did they allow their present circumstances to dictate their belief in what was possible. They lived in the assumption of their success before the world had given them any proof. They did not merely work toward a goal, they embodied it. And because they saw themselves as already having achieved it, reality had no choice but to catch up. This is the secret behind every miracle. When Jesus healed the sick, he did not see them as sick. He saw them as whole. When he multiplied the loaves and fishes, he did not see lack, he saw abundance. When he commanded the storm to be still, he did not see chaos, he saw peace. His every act was based not on the evidence of the senses, but on the conviction of what was already true in his mind. And because he assumed it to be so, it became so. Most people struggle because they are ruled by what they see rather than what they know to be true within. They look at their bank account and feel poor. They look at their body and feel weak. They look at their life and feel defeated. And so they remain trapped, for they do not understand that their external reality is only the shadow of past assumptions. If you would change your life, you must first change your assumption of yourself. You must see yourself not as you are, but as you wish to be. And more than that, you must feel it. You must enter the state of the fulfilled desire so deeply that it becomes more real to you than what your eyes can see. The world may tell you otherwise, but you must not waver, for the world is only reflecting what you previously assumed. Do not wait for proof. Do not wait for the world to confirm what you desire before you believe it. Believe first, and the proof will come. Feel the joy now, feel the success now, feel the love now, and it must appear in your world. The moment you fully accept it as true within, the process of manifestation begins, and reality must shift to match the new assumption. But many hesitate. They ask, what if I assume wrongly? What if it doesn't work? And in that very question, they plant the seeds of doubt that will prevent their desire from taking form. The law does not work for those who question it. It works for those who trust it, absolutely. The one who lives as though it is already done does not concern himself with how or when. He does not check for signs. He does not waver in his conviction. He simply knows. There is no effort in this knowing. It is not something to be forced, but something to be accepted. The more natural the assumption feels, the faster it will take shape in the world. If it feels unnatural, if it feels like pretending, then you have not yet fully accepted it. The key is to persist until the assumption becomes second nature, until it feels so real that the outer world seems irrelevant. The one who masters this principle moves through life with certainty. He does not chase, for he knows that all he desires is already his. He does not fear, for he knows that nothing can stand in the way of what he has already accepted as true. He does not doubt, for he understands that reality is but a reflection of his inner world. To live as though it is already done is to step into the role of creator. It is to recognize that the world is not happening to you, you are happening to it. It is to walk in the confidence of one who knows his power, who understands that his assumption is the only force shaping his destiny. It is the highest form of faith, the true understanding of divine law. When you live as though it is already done, you step beyond the limitations of doubt, beyond the constraints of time, beyond the illusions of the senses. You no longer wait for life to change. You change and life follows. You no longer seek validation from the outside world. You know that the world is only a mirror, reflecting back the convictions you hold within. This is the secret of creation, the power given to all but understood by few. The moment you fully embody the state of your fulfilled desire, without hesitation, without contradiction, without fear, reality must conform. The world has no choice but to bow to the one who knows who he is, who holds unwavering faith in his assumption, and who refuses to accept anything less than the truth he has claimed. So the question is not whether this law works. It always works. The only question is, what are you living as though is already done? Are you living in the certainty of success, of joy, of abundance, of love? Or are you living in the assumption of failure, of struggle, of waiting? Whatever you accept as true within, life will prove to be true without. Live now in the reality of your desire fulfilled. Think from it, feel from it, move from it, and watch as the world shifts. Not because you forced it, but because you finally understood that it was always within you, waiting to be claimed.